order. Mr. Brown, will you give us the invocation, please, sir?
Lord, we come before you at this time, and we are so grateful that we are your children, that we can hold close to you in your word. Be with us as we consider the matters of this county. Help us to always do those things that are right in your sight. Give us the wisdom from above so that we can be free from the personal biases, the prejudices that we have, and do nothing for personal gain. Lord, we are always mindful of the welfare of the people of this county, and we want to do the best job that we can. Be with us as we go forward the rest of this night. Help us make those right decisions. We ask this in your Son's name, Jesus Christ.
Amen. Without objection, I'm going to remove a couple things from the agenda, and I don't think we have anything to add. So under old business, we've already disposed of item C, so we can please strike that. And under new business B2, the items under the assessor of property, I would like to move those. Those actually need to be disposed of in legislative.
That's in new business?
That's under new business, backside B2, assessor of property. Okay. 2A and B, correct. So without objections and those removed, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? All right, great. Mr. Mark Smith.
Yes, sir. I'm on the agenda under the person master, and you need to hear from me after you hear from Mr. Long. I just want to explain what I'm asking for. So I'll just wait until that time, if that's all right.
Yes, sir.
Right,
Will do. Thank you. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda, or approve the minutes. Motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, my report here is just a note, and this is really for the other committee chairs. So, we've had several discussions trying to play by our own rule book and make sure that all of the departments get any of their requests through other, the associated committee first, so general operations or health emergency services, et cetera, to get those routed there first before it hits budget. The department chairs, I think, I've spoken with several of them, they're trying to abide by this. What's actually happening now, I think, is that we have our rules for budget where we request that everything is in the Thursday prior to the Monday that it gets published. But some of the other committees, I think we're getting in stuff at like Friday afternoon, Friday evening, so I would just ask, in the interest of keeping things moving quickly, if we could get your actions from your committees in on that Thursday would be helpful. No other kind of note need to be done here. Go ahead.
Some chairmen aren't here. Would you mind emailing?
I will do. Yes, I will do.
Yeah.
I'll send that email out.
If you make a note.
Yep, I got it. Okay. Mr. Mayor, your report, sir?
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Long, you do have a bit of a report today.
No, go through it really quickly, Mr. Chairman. The first one, arbitrage rebate, good news, nothing's due. The reports are back at this point in the interim reports. Discussed arbitrage last month. Does anybody have any question what arbitrage is? Okay. Item number 2 is the ARPA discussions, and the 2 items outlined is the 2 EMS stations that were originally on there. It's on page 43 and 4. And because those were hard to read, we actually passed out page, I believe it's 43, another copy of it. It was a little hard to read, so we actually blowed it up. And this is what it looks like. And let me give everybody a second to get back to page 43 and 44, including me. This report here, if you go to the far right, and you look at the 2 amounts, the third column from the right going back to the left says general. That is your, I guess it's called your ARPA proper, which is your most restricted money. Based on the removal of the appropriations, last month was about $4.8 million left of it. The other one is revenue replacement. Revenue replacement, there's about $3.9 million, or almost four estimated in there. The revenue replacement could be used for things such as the jail roof, if we did it, patrol cars, EMS, or even any of the EMS stations. That was the big discussion. It could be used for almost anything that the county revenues could be used for, as long as we follow a limited amount of the federal procurement that's required. And you can't use it for debt service. That is one requirement. Item 2 is the revenue proper, which has the 4.8, and that can be used for anything that broadband, water line storm, decreased crime, and several other things related to the COVID pandemic. And then on page 2 is the actual resolution that removed the appropriations last month for you guys to look at. One thing to note, and I was talking to the mayor, the Westmoreland one should be the $2 million one, and the COVID-19 one that's eligible for the revenue proper. And when you're considering the White House one, that one should be the one that you're looking at for the $1.539 million, and it does not qualify for revenue proper, is my understanding.
So this resolution is backwards on items 3 and 4?
It was removed from the budget, but it was originally in the budget backwards in the discussion. There was a misunderstanding of which was which.
Okay, gotcha. The $2 million is Westmoreland. And my understanding is, you say revenue proper versus...
Okay. The general is your big one, and it's very limited. My understanding is the actual Westmoreland COVID station could come from the proper, which is the $4.8 million.
That was, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, go ahead.
So, right now, revenue replacement column, is that where this is coming from right now, or is it coming from the,
They've all been removed from it. The $2 million, if you wanted to do the Westmoreland station, it should go back under the column that says general, is where you would take it from.
and the reason it's $2 million is because
The cost to,
you have to do like some kind of cleansing station, or I guess
that's the estimated cost.
station, I guess, is that right? That's
Yeah, it'd be COVID.
to cover under that money.
But there's two things that came back from the subcommittee that this committee should be aware of. Number one is, if you want to do the EMS stations, then you really probably need to move this month. And one of the things that the mayor mentioned, and I can mention it too, is when we bid, for instance, if we bid the Westmoreland station, we can bid it with the requirements for performance for the vendor to have it done by that time, with the contingency that if they do not fulfill their time, any losses will be absorbed, because we won't be able to use the money, by the vendor. That is one of your safe havens you can put on there, but if you're wanting to move forward out of these funds with these EMS stations from these funds, it would need to be moved pretty quickly.
Some other general.
Either one of them, because the timelines are, by this December 31st, you have to have that money tied down.
You have to have it committed, correct.
And in 2 years from that, you have to have it spent out the door.
But we unencumbered those funds, that didn't break the timeline.
No, this is federal ARPA requirements.
Gotcha. My only question, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Nobody's discussed, so in Westmoreland, we currently have an ambulance there, so that to me is a kind of no-brainer to approve those funds, at least for me, and go ahead and get that moving. The White House station, we're talking about, if somebody correct me if I'm wrong, somebody staffing a new station full-time with an ALS ambulance and 6 personnel. I know we have some ALS ambulances already, so we necessitate that maybe buying a new ambulance. But we haven't even discussed what is that salary, what's the cost to run a new station? I mean, if you look, I don't know if it costs $1 million, but if you look at our EMS budget, it's over $14 million, we got 13 stations. I mean, I'm just dividing out, that's over $1 million per station to operate on a yearly.
We looked at it last year. I think it was around $880,000. I think it was $900,000. I think was what we estimated it would cost to fully staff it and manage. I think that was. I don't recall exactly, because we did discuss this.
Staffing a new station. I don't remember that, but I think it was.
I think I recall that.
I think it was during one of the budget hearings, but I can't recall the number
So-
right now.
We're not in the budget hearings.
Right.
I don't know what enough money we got.
Been a while.
We have a new ambulance station for almost $1 million.
But it's directionally, I think you're right.
But I don't know, I don't know if I can move forward with approving an ambulance station. I don't know if we have funds to staff it, because I don't know what, I mean, it's the whole argument of like why we don't approve salary increases in the middle of the year when we don't know what the budget's gonna look like the next year. And that's been an argument from the floor way before you guys got here, and again, doing that. So,
let me mention something that may take some of the pressure off the White House. You have about $3.8 million in your local capital, which has no time restrictions. We're looking at doing a jail roof, and understanding from Ms. Norfleet, at this time, we have not bid it, so we still can put in all the ARPA requirements. Instead of doing that, you could pay the jail roof out of the revenue replacement, and then later consider the White House one during budget when you can determine if you can afford the staffing.
So
That may get you around that.
yeah, so with the motion, I would kind of entertain here that, well, I'll make a motion on it, because it's pretty,
Disseminated.
yeah, here's what I think. We move to approve the $2 million out of ARPA for the Westmoreland immediately.
Second.
I'm gonna put it all together
Okay.
on one. The second is that we, move to allocate, what's the, for the roof, how much is that?
They estimated 1.7, but that's.
So we allocate let's say we allocate 1.7.
7 for now.
1.7 toward, replacing the roof out of ARPA. And then with a statement that we will, appropriate from capital $1.539 million for the White House contingent on budget decision to build that, to staff that location.
What was the figure?
So, first one, two,
For the last one.
1.539. So, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering, well, and I'm good with EMS, I'm great, that's what I said back in January, that we should do that. Are we gonna talk about, I'd like to ask, which one, the vests and the tapers, are we gonna take them out of proper?
They're already down here. They came out of the proper because they reduced
It was
crime.
so little,
They're these bottom two numbers here.
okay,
And
there they are, yeah.
that's kind of, if you're wanting to move on, there's a couple of things. If you do 1.7 here, you're still gonna have about 2.2.
Yeah.
You probably really in short order need to determine what you want to stick in there, and probably your best bet to make sure you get it. In the next year's budget, you always buy ambulance and patrol cars. You may want to consider to go ahead and fund them from ARPA now to get those out the door.
And I've been going over that with Mr. Warren, I'm all for that too. Or if we wanna handle this later, or handle it all right now.
I think let's handle that. That one's not gonna work if we handle that one later. Yeah.
Well, my thing is you need to get it tied down as soon as possible because they're saying it's quite a bit of time to build ambulances right now. So we'll need the actual dollars out the door within 2 years and 2 months.
We'll have to have them.
We'll have the dollars out the door 2 years.
What's
and
the
2
total
months.
amount to it?
Usually they're anywhere from 800,000 plus a year for ambulances. I don't know how many they're asking for next year. So they're asking for 1.2 million in ambulances next year. So if you went ahead and did that now, we could go ahead and
And
start.
is that out of revenue replacement?
Revenue replacement.
Okay, and where does that take us back down to?
They take 2.9 out of the 3.9, so it leaves you about $1 million.
About $1 million. So I'm gonna, okay, well, let's dispose of these little by little here. So
we had a motion.
we have a motion and a second.
3 items.
3 items.
So let's.
Westmore, let's dispose of
I
that
have a
one
lot
first.
to it, so
Yeah, let's
take that motion again.
I'm gonna restate it. That's $2 million out of ARPA for Westmoreland. 1.7 for the roof, for the jail roof. And then 1.539 out of capital contingent on, budget funding the new, budget, if we can staff that.
What was that number?
That's 1.539.
539.
That's the motion. That's the motion in the second. Any other discussion on that?
One question, you're only making a commitment for the 1.539, you're not gonna appropriate now, correct?
Correct, that's correct.
So you're just gonna put it in the verbiage on the
Correct.
resolution?
Correct. Because we gotta make sure we staff it. Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. No, this one was Ms. Boyd. Did you have a motion to purchase?
For the revenue replacement, we're gonna buy the ambulances anyway. We can lock this money down. If we go ahead and appropriate it and pass it through, we can get those orders in because we have to receive them. We don't have to firmly commit to doing it, but we have to receive them in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So with the lead time,
That's be out the door, the cash desk, so we
Yeah,
have to actually.
Yeah, so we'll have to, we don't know what the lead time is on the supply chain. So the sooner we get that order in,
Do you have a motion for it?
yeah, we make a motion to add the ambulance cost to.
Second.
Into the revenue replacement. Yes,
No, go ahead.
How many ambulances are you talking about, and how much they cost?
Mr. Long and Mr. Hodges.
The total's 1.2 million. They do an ambulance replacement each year, and how many ambulances do you?
I think for 3 ambulances.
Okay, so about 400,000, so
The
any,
last bid, I think we could still buy off of, the most recent was 375.
Okay. Do we need to suspend the rules?
I
You
just
have
checked in
to-
like other counties, like I reached out to Robertson, and they spend like 275 on ambulance. What is the difference between like what?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion. Second.
All in
I
favor?
just wanted to know the difference. Why
Yeah, what-
are they more expensive than the other counties? Everybody likes to compare counties, so.
Sure, so, I don't know what Robertson pays, I know, Wilson County, they purchase from the same vendor that we do, and Williamson as well. Wilson County's over $400,000 for last year's ambulances. They ordered, I think, around 8 or 10 over different years, and we're to get that pricing down. We may be more expensive than some other counties, but we have a lot of safety features that others don't. One being an airbag system in the back of the ambulances, to protect our responders. And that's why the biggest, difference in cost from the, that's the biggest upgrade that I can think of right now. And it's costing us.
They're fully
That's
equipped.
fully equipped.
I'm sorry.
And they're fully equipped too.
Yeah,
They are.
These are ALS ambulances.
These are the ALS ambulances that respond to emergencies, not the ones that do the convalescent work.
And they may not have gave you a quick cost too. I kind of wondered that, because we equip them, they've got like all the equipment in the back.
Mr. Klein. Sorry.
Mr. Foss, how many active ALS ambulances do we have right now?
We had 28, we received 3 more, so we have 31 permitted ambulances right now. Don't hold me to that exactly because we're in the middle of putting new ones on the road that we have been waiting 2 years for, and then removing some of the aged fleet. and
Like
giving
10%
them
a year.
Okay, so we've got 31 ALS,
Not ALS.
oh, combined.
All right.
How, do you know how many ALS we have? Total?
We run
Clappers went everything.
13 every day.
15 is stock, right, at all
Yeah.
times. And then 6 of the BLS ambulances, 5 to 6 of those at all times, and then we have some in reserve for breakdown.
Okay, so we got 13 active, 2 fully stocked, and then other reserves that are not fully stocked?
6 of those are 6 additional BLS trucks to that, the convalescent.
Okay, so 6 BLS, and
Those
do
are all reserves, so, those are not.
they run every day?
5 of them are.
5 every day.
One of those is reserved.
And then 1 is a reserve. And then we have 13 active ALSs and 2 reserves.
15 of those ALS ambulances are ready to go.
Yeah. Do we have any ALSs that are not ready to go that are in waiting?
Yes, those are for breakdowns and major disasters.
And we've got how many of those?
I'm not exactly sure. I'd say we're taking some of them off right now and adding the new ones in.
Okay,
So I can go back to you.
Okay, that'd be-
I don't think you're wrong.
okay. And we're getting 3 new ALSs.
We have just ordered this fiscal year 2 additional. We didn't have the funds to do price increases. We ordered 2 ALS ambulances and 1 BLS convalescent.
And that was last year,
That's in this fiscal year.
this physical year, yeah. And so 2 and 1, and then we're gonna go for 3 ALSs?
That's what we need to purchase each year, and that's what we purchased for the past 5, 6, 7 years to maintain our fleet, to keep it up.
So 2 ALSs and 1 BLS every year?
It varies depending on what the status like is. After COVID, we waited on trucks for 3 years, so we definitely needed 3 ALS ambulances to keep them up.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so that, are we getting 3 ALSs? We're gonna go for 3 ALSs?
It's a request for, we already got.
Yeah, we can follow them.
Okay, okay, all right.
Any other questions?
If we're buying, and this is Mr. Long, if we're buying next year's, these 3 for next year,
Mhm.
but we got 2 years, can we buy 2 years worth?
You could.
Would we be able to fit them in the time?
You can just go ahead and do 2.4 right now and order them all.
Well,
I don't know, that throws us off cycle.
yeah,
But the thing is, they've got to pass state inspection, and the biggest wear on them is mileage, so if you buy them earlier, they're gonna go up in cost. I don't know if there'd be any other downfall on it.
I don't foresee us changing, what we're ordering over the next few years. I wouldn't be opposed to it at all.
So if you got 3 more spares that we just put in,
Well, that would be replacing aging equipment. We're running ALS units pushing nearly 300,000 miles right now.
and anything over 200 is the problem, right?
Yes, it's frowned upon, and especially for the emergency response.
They gotta pass state inspection.
yes,
And the maintenance gets more.
Yeah, the maintenance gets a lot more expensive, yeah.
So what's the motion?
Maybe we want to do 3 plus 3.
If we'd like to, my discussion point would be if we would want to discuss buying not only 3 for next year, but 3 for the following year. And
Since
if
we've
it's
got
gonna
the-
take a while to get them, what's your lead time?
22 to 24 months on the ones that we ordered in January.
We're gonna spend the money anyways. That was my whole want to
Yeah,
discuss ARPA, was
yeah.
to spend the money anyways. So just,
Yeah, what is this killing when we do this?
oh yeah.
What is this killing? I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just saying, what are we
Which is
What are we giving up?
what was on the resolution.
It's the revenue replacement.
well, but it wasn't all of it, right? It
If
was,
you take 2.4 plus 1.7, is gonna make.
yeah, it's hard to see.
It's gonna be slightly more than you got if you do, that'd be a total of about 4.1, so if you done,
Maybe we could do
Let's-
2 ALSs and 1 BLS.
if you just went ahead and appropriated the remaining amount of your revenue replacement, it would probably come pretty close to getting.
To getting 2 and 1, 2 ALSs and 1 BLS for the next year.
You do have 3.8 million in working capital, so you can make a small amount of difference there if you wanted to. You finish up all your ARPA money, on at least the revenue replacement.
Okay, I'm trying to think what we killed.
You killed, it was the, maintenance facility was the other item, the maintenance facility, the, Westmoreland EMS, and then there was,
Well, we brought the Westmoreland EMS back, but that,
So the other items not being killed, they can just go.
the White House one.
the White House, we just talked about that, I'm just going over.
And there was $101,292 for ECC alert. The request from the ECC committee was to ask if the county could pay the entire cost since the county got the lion's share of most of the ARPA funds. That was their request. We said we'd pass it on. It should be about 300 and some thousand.
So that would take, so it's a choice between a BLS or the ECC alert system. That's what we're talking about here.
And it would be 101,292 divided by 0.32.
Yeah, it's
It's about 300 and, yeah, I think the number they said was a little more than that, which is probably went up.
101,292? But that's our third.
That's their third, but they're asking if you can pay all of it since you've got the ARPA funds and they didn't receive.
Who's they?
The cities, the cities, for the ECC.
But if I speak about the cities are asking.
Well, the ECC board, which is the county mayor and the city.
Well, go ahead. Well, actually, I'm gonna bring us back under our rules. Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
I just want to say, it's not that we're killing it, I'm just saying we gotta buy the ambulances anyway, we'll put them in a revenue replacement and take up the other items during budget.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what we're doing with the large one. We're really only talking about the 300 something thousand for the ECC, because I mean, I just know where that will go if we put it in with it. And I'm not saying that's the right or the wrong thing, I'm in favor of keeping it at 100,000. Yeah. Well, right now, we're on the, can you state your motion again on the, what are you trying to do? Are you moving?
I'm just still restating that, the revenue replacement, if we just use it on items that we know we're gonna buy, so just the ambulances and
So
take
you
the
say
rest
give
of,
all of it to the ambulances? All of what's left at revenue replacement?
well, we were gonna spend most of it to buy next year, so now it sounds like another 1.5 ambulance might finish it off, like Mr. Long was saying. I'm not sure where his numbers are landing, but, or we can sit here and go through all of them.
Well, I mean, we don't have to go through all of it, I would want to, well, is that your motion? I'll second the motion, but I want to get in there, actually. Is that your motion?
That's an option. I'm good with the other option,
What?
paying for, the alarm system sounds great. I'm not against it, I was just wanting to make it a clean cut, that's all, that's my motion.
Okay, well, I'll amend it, just slightly. So was your motion for just the 3, or was it for the rest of it to go to?
I was just saying, if we pay for the roof,
That was,
ambulances we need next year, and maybe pick up another 1.5 with whatever money's left.
If you do the 1.7 for the roof, you're gonna have 2,242,831 left for, ambulances, which will probably come pretty close, not quite there for 6. Come pretty close.
Okay.
Maybe it'll
So
get this year.
that would take care of.
Sounds like
our
it's
next
specified
20
ALS
That would be my
and one
motion,
BLS.
just
Okay,
nice
that
and
was
clean,
left.
say we're gonna spend anyway, for the rest of them.
I'll second that motion.
What was the motion?
It's 2.42 million.
So you're wanting for the ambulances?
2,242,831.
Y'all, are you going back on your motion of 1.2 then?
No.
Yeah, she changed it. She basically did 2 years. Go ahead, Mr. Mansfield.
2.42 million for how many ambulances?
As many as we can buy.
6
for them.
total ambulances.
Are they all ALS ambulances, or is it?
Probably 5 and 1, what I'm guessing.
5 and 1.
307 ALS.
So 2.4 million should get 6 ALS.
You got 2,242,831, so you're probably gonna get, what, 5?
5 and 1. 5 A. If the maker of the motion, just because I want to be clear here.
If they come short, we'll just come back.
5 ALS, 1 BLS. Is that,
If that's what they need,
okay, well, that's what they can get.
yeah,
All right,
that's
so,
what they need.
so that, she said 5 and 1, I'm good with that. That's a second.
Mr. Chairman, the 2 members on this budget committee, for sure, were at a meeting last week with our ARPA consultants, and I wasn't able to make it, and I tried watching the video today, but I didn't get to it. So I know that there is specified things that we can spend money on that's ARPA. The revenue replacement that we're talking about, that category, we can use for just about anything.
As long as we call federal procurement, which we'll have to go back and do a little revision for to find out.
So I don't mind spending it all on ambulances, but is that the wisest thing to do?
Yeah, if you want to do it on something, I would just encourage us to spend it on something we're gonna spend money
anyway.
on anyway.
Yeah, I get
Since their lead time is 24 months.
That's good.
I mean, it's just plain, but if you have more roofs that need repairing that we could get, I mean, whatever, I'm just saying that the revenue replacement should be something we're spending money on.
Yeah, I mean, the archive roof, we can't spend that money on that though, right?
Yeah, you could.
Well, you
Could, yeah.
Is it
You
ready to
absolutely
go?
could.
Yeah, you absolutely could. That would be good.
It's very close.
We'll-
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
We can do the archives roof. What's the number on it?
Probably 100,000. The consultant, the architects think it's more, but I did, talk to a roofer who I've been talking to for 2 years about this, and he feels very confident he can get it done for less than 100,000.
And again, it's not killing the money. I mean, it's either here or there. It's gonna go somewhere.
So,
We've got an architect on it.
We do have an architect on it.
so do you want to make a motion to spend that, or it doesn't, Ms. Boyd, it's kind of 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. I mean,
Yeah.
then we'd have to go back and change. I mean, we can just go to capital, which is $100,000.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, we're good. So, any other discussion on the 2.24?
No.
And this is for 5 ALSs, 1 BLS, correct? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
That finishes up the revenue replacement.
I do have one item here, and that's for the, it's not revenue replacement.
General.
General. And this is a request that came from Hendersonville Utility District. If you look, and I believe that, I may break motion or break rules in just a second. So what this is a request for assistance with phase 2 of a water extension project, and just wanted to be super clear here, and we can answer any questions that you have. This is not for, there will be no, this project does not impact or expand any residential development whatsoever.
Is this an agenda item or is this something?
This was under ARPA.
Okay, and I never saw this.
Well, we don't have to vote on it today. I had intended to add this, but I was out last week. So we talked about it last month, and I wanted to add it this week, but I was predisposed. So we don't have to vote on it today, that's fine, but I do want to at least, if we don't do it today, I would like to have it considered. And we're going to put it on the next month.
Somebody asking for.
And they're not asking, wait, say it again?
What's the ask?
The ask is for, I think it was 1.3 million?
It's roughly half of what, we have to take off. As much as we can,
So we'll, motion
3.2 is,
motion spin the rules.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, go ahead.
Joe Rewa, General Manager at Henderson Utilities, in case everybody doesn't know. But it's actually the sewer section on all of West Main, the part of Hendersonville that is, needs a little facelift. And this is part of a project that's already been engineered. We bid 3 times. Actually, no, we bid twice. Had a change order to take out the sewers because it came in double the budget. And so what our request would be to try to fund half of it because that's roughly what we were short. The amount that we took off was $3.2 million. And so it was like about 1.6 would be about half of that project.
So that's what the request is.
This is coming from our ARPA money?
Our ARPA.
Good stuff.
I mean, we did it up for the northern part of the county, so I'm just gonna make a statement here, and I'm gonna make a statement on
Is
this.
this city of Henderson?
It is a city of Hendersonville.
It is a city.
People in the cities also pay property taxes, so.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I'm not arguing with you on that, I'm just
this
asking
is the part, but this is the part of this that frustrates me, and look, I vote every single time to not expand stuff out in the county, every single time. I'm the guy that said, I'm the bad guy who said we shouldn't have, if we're gonna have water extension, the additional 20 million, we should put some restrictions on it. But like, I'm in the city of Hendersonville, and for my tax dollars, if I call, if the sheriff's department doesn't respond, that's okay, that's not their job, right? Mm-hmm. The only thing that I get from those tax dollars is the schools. And so, in my view, when we get the EMS, in my view, if just because somebody's in the city does not mean that they should not be able to take part in funds that come to the county, right? I mean, not the same way everything does, but I mean, they shouldn't be thrown off. My opinion, you can vote it down, not vote it down, but this whole idea of that sometimes the city and the county need to fight, that's normal, but just because, the city needs something, this is no different in my mind than the $10 million that we're spending in the northern part of the county. That helps people in cities. Anyway, my opinion. Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So we did do the ARPA consultant meeting in here. Bob was there, Mary was there, and I was there. And this is not like I'm saying this is what I want, I just want you to know some of the options they gave us for the general. They said that, now that it's getting closer, that some entities, some counties in Georgia they spoke to, they took their money that was remaining, and I am not by any means I'm just telling you what they gave us. We're taking their money and putting it towards populations that may have been harmed during COVID. And this is something that the commission could determine what we think, what area we wanted to point toward. They said veterans, disabled veterans, seniors, homeless, children, disadvantaged in any way, and you can carve that out and do that. And they said, for example, and again, I'm not suggesting, I'm just telling you some of the examples. They said in Georgia there was a county that gave $15,000 to seniors for home improvement. And they said that that helps going forward, because if the seniors don't repair their roof, then your property deteriorates and your value in your county goes down. So they said that was one thing. They also said that the money could be used to match and go alongside of our new opiate money in a way of giving a basis for future grants. I know that there's a lot of talk at the opiate table with their $500,000 that they're holding back, and there's some discussion with that to use it to get state grants for a match. The ARPA consultant said that some of this general proper could be used alongside of the opiate money. So with that in mind, I asked Judge Blanton about recovery court and if some of this money could match some of those populations. He says that they would like to do something like, if they had funding and 5 acres, they would like to do something like Men of Valor and put in men's quarters, women's quarters, and in the middle a treatment center. So that is another need. There's a lot of, once you start talking, everybody can find needs. And the one final thing I want to tell you that I've talked to people about the general proper. I talked to Chief Craddock today. He's looking for, one of the other things the ARPA consultant said this money could go for is specifically crime fighting, because I guess during COVID, crime came up. Although in Sumner County, my understanding is it is leveled back down to those levels, but it's not moved. But it doesn't matter. ARPA rules are still that we can.
It has to be something new,
It has to be something.
not something we're already doing.
It
Yes,
can't be,
something
yeah,
new.
you can't buy
And that's why we got the
SWAT
vests
cars.
and the tasers over there now, is because it's crime fighting. And so I talked to him today. He's thinking through things. He's going to work with California Northleaf. If there's some crime fighting elements that we can buy here in the fund. So I just want to share that, and I'm not like pulling my items up to the top or anything. I just want you to know what they said.
One thing to note is the consultants we hired are capable if you do want to do
Yes.
something like to help the homeless. And they do, and a lot of them, that's part of the fee that's in here, if we end up using it. They can set up that online process to get the applications, to look at the applications and determine if they're allowable for up to 2 years to fund homeless, rent, and other things for homeless people. So you do have a lot of options you can use that for.
And
Go ahead.
part of the discussion came out, and I was unaware of the number of homeless students we have that are tagged as, I don't know how they're tagged as homeless in our school system, and I have no idea how that's working. I was actually surprised that the number was like up in the 60s, and I have no idea how they figure that out, but, so I just want to let you know that there are things that we can do.
Well,
Thank you.
we've got one here. I'm gonna make motions for, oh, no, go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Talked with Commander Malone of the American Legion there, on Water, 109, that area. They have that home for veterans. It's leaking water underneath the strip motel that they have, that they converted for veterans. He went to Gallatin, asked for the money for a retention pond. They turned him down and said, we don't have any money. And so I sent a letter in to David, where he asked for it, and they're a nonprofit. So that's one of the things that the consultant said that we can.
Let's do this. Next, or go ahead, Mr. Mansell.
I would just make a couple of comments here. I mean, since I just we're talking about, is this, it says sewer, so it's not a water.
Sewer, not water.
It's a sewer line. You know, just talking about the whole purpose of these funds was for COVID. And Mo Taylor and I were on a water line ad hoc for 2 years, trying to get money in the northern end of the county, people who didn't have access to clean drinking water. We're not talking about for development, we're just talking about homeowners. And, you know, just for people who, you know, Mo would tell me stories of knocking on doors, and it was just a rough time. So in that previous commission, you know, I've read through some minutes today where I made a motion for almost $500,000 for water line grants and got turned down by the previous commission. Did not approve it. When this came through for Mo, the $10 million from our ARPA funds, as you mentioned, going towards water line improvements, we knew it was catch-22. Right, and which is why I appreciate your amendments you made, and what the spirit of what we tried to do this summer. We had like a week of, okay, we want to help people get access to clean drinking water, but we don't want to use it as an impetus to bring growth in to profit off the backs of the people that we're trying to help and run them out of the way. That's realistically what's going to happen. And just making sure, like, then the narrative's like, oh, you voted against water because you hate kids is out there, or robocalls lying, saying that we voted against kids having water in Westmoreland, which is gross, repulsive, that those kind of robocalls went out in the election. So that we're talking about water and sewer, you know, and understanding a city's asking for a sewer line for a business. I would like more time to think about that, because I have a city called Millersville that is similar in demographics as Westmoreland, that could definitely use some ARPA money. And so that doesn't have the economic base that Hendersonville does. So I'm going to push back, I'm going to vote no for anything in Hendersonville, because I'm going to look out for my district. And my district has Millersville and part of rural parts of Goodlettsville, Sacalon, Center Point. I know there's improvements to be out there, so I would like, if we're going to talk about this, I mean, I know we talked about this, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but Hendersonville owes us a lot of money.
They do.
So, and they just like, I feel like they're just flipping us a bird and saying, we don't care, we ain't gonna give you any money. And so, I don't feel that's a good partner or a good sense to, it doesn't make me want to go, oh yeah, let's give them a bunch of money because they won't pay us for anything. I don't, that's just how my sentiments when I think, I look at my district and look at Millersville, you know, what does my city need? And I haven't looked at that, so if this is a new thing, so I would definitely vote to defer or vote no if we vote on this tonight.
So I'm not gonna, so to your point, I was actually about to say, brought this here tonight, but because I didn't get added, I don't necessarily think we ought to vote on it. You got an idea, you get time, you've got time. So you had a couple ideas.
I mean, the ARPA consultants had,
So I'm just
ideas. I
suggesting,
just wanted to share that they had.
let's bring what we're gonna bring to the next, get it to Mr. Line, Thursday before.
So you
like
want to
line by
run
line.
this in new business next
New
month?
business next month. And we don't need a motion to do any of that. Let's, you know, you'll just
When
put it
do we
all out
need to
there.
have it?
So the ARPA consultant suggested that we firm things up by May.
So,
Was that what they were saying?
Probably best if you're gonna do
The
something.
sooner, but
The deadline for the budget is the Thursday before the Monday it goes out, which would be the Thursday before your committee. So it's basically the Thursday preceding the first Monday of each
yeah,
month.
that's right. It's the first Thursday of the month.
By the time they-
Or the last Thursday of the month. Go ahead, Ms. Mansfield.
So where, we just struck out the revenue replacement column.
Yeah, this,
Basically, that was our motion, we've done that. In the general, are we still at the $4.8 million?
we are at 4.8, I think that's right,
You
isn't
took $2 million off of it, yeah.
no, it's 2.8, because we took $2 million off. We took 2.8
For the ambulance?
for the ambulance. No, for Westmoreland.
Westmoreland,
Westmoreland.
EMS station.
Okay,
So we had 2.8. You're at 2.8 million, roughly.
so that's, so as of right now, we're down to $2.8 million.
2.8 total. Total, all of it. That's right. That's right.
That's what I was.
That's right. That's where we're at.
And it'll vary a little bit when we get done with the rest of these salary supplements and stuff that's going on.
Oh, to try to finish, burn that off.
We'll have to firm it up, but it should be material.
Okay. Go ahead.
if I could just insert, if general ops could like, or the mayor, if they could get to work on making sure that we have our plans for that Westmoreland EMS ready for December. I mean, that's gotta go fast. I'm just making sure that.
If we get a firm decision from the commission, we'll know.
Do we have land yet? Do we know?
I'm waiting on a decision from y'all. We do have a parcel right now, that, 3.26 acres on Highway 31, worth $342,000. We can get it for $211.
Oh, that's a good deal.
So we plan on moving on that. With the commission.
So as soon as the vote comes. Okay,
You guys probably need to wait the second reading on the ones you guys just did.
so that's a good
That's a
point.
good point.
If you're gonna go and try to get it.
So, yeah, I'm gonna, Ms. Mansfield, go ahead.
Question, EMS station that we're gonna be moving out of Westmoreland, what are we gonna do with that? Westmoreland has an EMS station right now.
Do we move back home?
So,
No, we
sell
own
or
that,
keep it?
and that'll be a commission decision.
We'll figure that
Sure,
out.
but I didn't know if we had any other uses for that, as discussed, or anything, but we could sell it to recoup
I would
costs.
sell it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little house, it's probably so.
I just wanted to get that out there.
So just to make sure that we're in accordance here, I'm gonna pull back my motion. I think you were the second on it.
Wait, second reading.
Waive the second reading. Got it. And well, second, I so move with it, and you, the second agrees. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, your motion, and I think I was the second on it. Can you do the same thing? Waive the second reading to the 2.2?
Yes.
Second agrees. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we got those good. All right, great. Mr. Lawrence?
Next item is the revenue analysis. It looks like this. The most important page, which I'm not sure which order it's in, somebody holds theirs up and I'll tell you which page we're gonna look at. Yes, that's the page we need to look at. If you look on the bottom right, sorry, everybody, second, find your sheet. Oh, it got passed out, so
This one with the red on it?
should be the first.
Okay, there we go.
Should be like whichever one this one, get your first or second.
Oh, here we go.
If it's the one on the far right that says, it's got green, and it says 107.96, that is the estimated amount of revenue you're gonna bring in compared to budget. A couple of things really added to that. If you recall back when the budget was done, the school budget, the MOE, so their property tax, Will's tax, and sales tax was, significantly under budgeted based on the years before. Also, we did the same thing in debt service and highway funds, so they're significantly under budgeted. Also, adequate facilities tax is running quite well, plus we expect it'll run a little bit better because picking up the retail adequate facilities tax. And your building permits are running very well this year too. So overall, your economy, a lot of things we've seen lagging has disappeared. There's some of these that vary quite significantly, but that was because the trustee's office didn't turn over 1 year of the taxes, so one will be significantly up and one will be significantly down. I know the knife's getting late, so does anybody have any questions on any of the items?
Yes, sir. With the vote that was taken,
You mean sales tax? They keep it all, unless you raise it countywide.
Yeah.
So
That's my understanding from the CTAS, and I think that's
Totally
legal.
different, and that is a long conversation.
That was my understanding, and I've confirmed it with legal, and they've confirmed it.
There's an
Yeah,
excellent
we can put,
CTAS
we
article.
can put that on there for next.
For anybody who's interested, there's an excellent CTAS article on the subject, which I sent to Commissioner Boyd.
And if Mr. Long could just address it,
Sent to everybody, we'll send it to everybody, yeah.
if there's a window, but if we miss that window, it's still okay. If we decide to go ahead, at whatever point we do decide to do that, it would become effective at that point. So it's not like a huge rush to get there, to get to a decision on whether we want to go up a half a cent or not. There's no, if we decide later on, it becomes effective at that point. But right now, Hendersonville keeps 100% of it, and the schools lose their money. And it's in the millions. If with their 10 years, the schools will lose out on millions if the county doesn't match. So it's a long discussion, and we all need to be aware of it.
Yeah, we'll put it on there for next,
The next,
one.
for the next item is just to tell that the financial statements are available. And then item E is, number one's your hearing dates. We have this particular, timeline, and May 1st through May 24th is where you guys have allotted for.
Is that in this,
Yes, sir, it's on page 46. But, looking at the calendar, also a good time would be April 29th or 30th. So we could, have your budget as early as April 29th, if the committee so desired, to meet your timeline.
Monday?
April 29th and 30th would be a Monday and Tuesday.
I'm good with that.
Is that the soonest we could lay eyes on anything?
Probably,
Yeah.
because, there's a lot of work going into it, and that's moving it back a little bit. We usually start in May, we're gonna try to move it back a tiny bit, we're gonna
You still have to do all your benchmarking, you still have to do all of, they just,
reconcile and get it back to
Yeah,
the
it's-
departments, and the revenues have to be projected
Yeah,
and verified, and.
the long-term, all of it. It's a,
So, last week, I was on May the 6th or 7th, May, right, so I'll get it later, but 29th and 30th, it's the 5th Monday of the month, we have no meetings, no obligations, nothing.
Bring one, I guess, monkey wrench in there, this is a reappraisal year. So two things I would caution you, setting your tax rate any earlier than you have to, especially before they have the local appeals.
when is that?
Don, do you have any idea what they're gonna say? Did they talk to you about it, any, the local appeals?
Oh, I venture to guess it'll run through August. My guess.
Yeah, so we are gonna have to.
And I would not advocate you setting a certified tax rate prior to the close of the county board,
When's the county board gonna be? This week?
probably end of August.
So, I mean,
You talking about?
And it could be in July, but
I mean.
We're
how can
we're gonna have to set it by the last day of August, because if we don't, we have to have
Yeah,
special
we,
permission from the state, so we have to set it by the last day of August. So the board's not gonna have it till that late.
How late, Marcus?
well, it depends on the appointments, how long the board meets. So that I don't know.
So you'd have to have your budget adopted by August 31st,
yeah, that's,
by statute.
we have to do that, so,
Still gotta say that.
So we could aim for it and maybe get it.
I mean, we're gonna be well
You
ahead.
set your budget, and then we get the tax rate.
Yeah, they did that,
There's continuation budgets.
yeah.
But,
But you're not statutorily allowed to do that.
Well, look, that's
Based off
separate,
that,
so it's, at the end
after
of
August
the day,
31st, you've got to have a budget without permission from the state, and they'd only give it for extreme circumstances, and they told me probably not gonna happen in the past.
So, I mean, I know it used to be, I'm sorry, October the 30-something was when you could have, continuation budgets go to, or until then it just kicks in, but like, if you don't set a budget, it goes into a continuation budget by default.
And by statute, you've got to have one adopted now by August 31st,
Yep.
without the state saying you have some kind of special circumstance.
So we've always put together two resolutions, one a budget, one a continuation budget. So you're saying the continuation budget resolution won't exist anymore?
You can for July and August, but after that, it would actually violate statutes. They changed that a couple of
In
years back.
2019, we didn't adopt the budgets until August the 19th.
yeah, but still by the end of August.
But it's by the
That was
August.
only the last meeting we had, but not that August meeting.
So mine's, from what the county mayor's saying, which I 100% agree, you need to wait as long as possible, would be your best bet this year to set your tax rate the last Monday in August, if possible, the last day in August, if you
But
could.
nevertheless, for the scheduling of this, it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, we can still do all the rest
It's
of it.
gonna have you a big unknown
It's
on
gonna have a
that,
big gap.
that you're gonna produce on property.
So there's no real rush to get this done in April, really, and it gives you a little more time. Let's do it in May, let's do it in, first week of, about the same time we did last year, as opposed to rushing.
I just wanted to mention the option, because last year everybody wanted to, but they didn't have
we
the
will
tax rate.
know around mid-June how long the county board's gonna last. Because you have a deadline when you can set your appointment.
Okay,
So, that'll give us a better guesstimate.
let's just, so I would suggest here that we do first week of May. What that's,
First week of May,
first week of May.
opposed to April.
The partial
29th.
week or the full week.
Let's,
Thursday and Friday, the second.
yeah, let's do the second and third, Thursday, Friday. Any issue with that? Anybody have an issue with that?
So 2 full.
2 full days, that's how that, and we come in here and just get ready.
Is there any way to break them up so they're not back to back?
We've always, I mean,
I know, but it's kind of a lot.
it
Last
is.
time things came out that y'all said you didn't know were there. I mean, I
Well,
don't know,
I mean, they were like $3,000.
We had we did have like
an EMS
2 days
station,
here,
we
we
didn't
had
know.
another extra day, and we did like.
Yeah, we ended up doing it, you're gonna end up doing an extra day in here.
Why don't you, if you do those 2 days, you could have your regular budget meeting on the 13th to deal with any wrap-ups. Because if we're gonna be waiting on the tax rate,
So the
we're
Second.
gonna publish.
And they're almost certainly gonna get another after that. So, motion and second for the second and third full days? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. That was simple. That was the easiest thing to do.
The next discussion is, I've
We didn't
had
yell at each other.
I've had a lot of questions from the departments, because they're making their request, and nobody's put anything in stone of what the budget committee anticipates the possible COLAs. And I have historical data and inflationary data, if anybody wants to hear that, if it would help your decision-making.
Yeah, I mean, you just want to do a very quick overview.
Very quick, for the last couple of years, the inflation rate was 6.58, and these are as of December, 5.57 and 2.53 for this past year. The actual cost of living during the same period this past year was 3, the year before 3.5, and 1 year no COLA, and the year before that was 5.
Okay, got it.
I'm looking right about the no COLA. It's just 25. So the average of the last 3 years inflation's about 4.89,
4.89,
almost 5%.
Yeah.
What the state did is right now, the elected officials are 5% of your median, and the judges last year were 5 with this correction tonight, and 4% for next year, to give you kind of a thought. My understanding from Hendersonville last year was 6, and the year before 6, I think what they said. That's correct. So it kind of gives you an idea what the surroundings are doing.
We don't need anything to do on this, but thank you for that. Go ahead, continue.
Well, the thing is, when they're building their budget, they want to know what we...
Oh,
Yeah, because we're putting it together for them right now. A lot of them sent in. We've told them, if you request additional, request it, but we recommend not putting a code. Just email it to us if you're requesting one. All of them's response so far has been a certain amount of increases, but they also want whatever the code is going to be. So they're all...
well, I mean,
You got the debt service length according to what you're going to...
so we did give that guidance last year. We gave that guidance of, I think, 2%.
$2 million is going.
3%.
Going on debt service, but we can't necessarily put towards debt.
Yeah, but we don't want to use all of that this year either.
But you got $10 million, it was my understanding last year, the budget was
Yeah, that's right.
About $10 million recurring.
That's money we can use to shore up departments that have been
Correct,
required.
correct. But I totally, that is correct, but.
We don't know what that's gonna look like.
No, and we don't want to burn it all off in 1 year.
Correct.
Because that's recurring.
Correct.
And if I can insert something, I was asking Mr. Linville, maybe the mayor, Mr. Linville shouldn't answer me, but one thing that we need to know is what the ratio is gonna hit us at. And we don't know that yet. Do you have any idea, Nick?
Oh, yeah, the ratio would be 1.
For
Every
budget
year resets to 1.
So what are we
And
gonna?
then in the second year of that 5 years, then they assess the ratio.
So
We
we
don't
get
know
it
what
next
it'll be.
time?
So we'll see a ratio in the second year of next year.
So we won't, I don't want to say self-accrue, but we won't accrue that loss this year.
No, because
Okay,
you're
thank you.
resetting it to 1.
Got it.
So, it's just a thought that I've had on this, that it is clear to me, and I'll make a motion here, for just the guidance that we'll put out. Last year we passed guidance, I think it was 2%, 3%, then they came back and said, no, we don't like this, we're gonna do 6 anyway, and then we cut it back down to like 3. But I do think it makes sense to give some guidance here, and I guess I have the following thought. That it is very clear that some departments are bleeding. Highway is bleeding. I know EMS is beginning to have some problems. I know our clerks are beginning to have problems. Other departments are not having so many problems, and of course the sheriff's department has already kind of had an adjustment based on the SRO funding. So the structure that I would posit that we should use this year is twofold. One is a flat rate COLA, and I would suggest 5% that we start with. That's kind of the median that we just said. So flat rate COLA 5%. However, and that's across the board. In addition to that, I think we need to again do benchmarking, and I'm not going to posit this part yet, but I think we again do benchmarking, and some departments may need an additional market-based shift. Now, and those will be different from different, so 2 parts, COLA flat across the board, and then a market-based shift department by department, because some may need it, others may not. But my motion is to put out as general guidance, 5% COLA, for these department heads to press back. That's my motion. Go ahead.
I'm just making sure it's kind of contingent upon what the budget looks like.
Well, yes, I mean, these are just guidelines. These are just kind of general, these are targets we're going to shoot for. We don't know exactly where it's going to hit. These are just guidelines. They're kind of directional. They're not guaranteed. We are not guaranteeing anything.
To your point, someone's not going to pay attention to that anyway, they did last year.
That's right. That's right.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, that's my motion, just to answer your question, put out that guidance, 5% COLA. And with the understanding, just to, for folks to know, we are looking at benchmarking for a second market-based adjustments dependent on department.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to put that out as general guidance, but I can't just do that myself. That's a motion and a second.
Put it as guidance.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So 5%.
The next one, the ECC, the county pays 32% of the cost, but they're actually under a board that's made up of the county mayor and the city mayors, and they have to have approval of the county commission and the city boards to fund their budget. So they've asked for some guidance. They've had some significant issues of maintaining dispatchers, so what they're requesting this year is COLA plus 6% on the dispatchers, and I think they're requesting 3 new positions. And the mayor's actually a member of the board. He can probably answer more questions than I can, and I believe there's at least 2 members of the ECC in the back that I can answer questions, but they're asking for some general guidance while they're working with the cities because they're trying to firm up their budgets too.
So,
Some just general guidelines, what you think would be
Go ahead, Mr.
acceptable.
Last year, the sheriff department asked for a bunch of extra positions, and we couldn't afford to fund them, so we had to, give them 1 instead of 5. We made adjustments, but that was in the budget hearing, when we were looking at the dollars, and you just like.
is this kind of a chicken and the egg kind of thing, I feel like?
That's what really goes on. The cities and the counties all have to fund this entity. So it's kind of like, it makes a real issue for the entity because they've got to go to the city alderman
Yeah.
and the county commission,
I
and
don't-
everybody's got to agree what they're gonna fund. And right now, they've had issues for several years with specifically dispatchers, and they're asking for 6% on the dispatchers because they did a market analysis and COLA, and then they're asking, I think, for 3 new positions. So they're wanting to get the general feel of the commission before they go back.
I'm gonna get my own cue here.
Mm-hmm.
This does not answer the question, but I'm going to have questions for you, Mr. Mayor, but at least in my mind, top priority is to the 2 things I mentioned before, which is getting a bit of a true up toward market for existing current employees. Current employees first, get that done, and then, the additional, treat this like a business, right? Like, if we are saying that we need to retain everybody currently, and that the cost of losing someone is the real barrier, then the first thing we need to take care of are existing employees. And once we make sure that we take care of those employees, then second tier to that is adding new employees. Not saying no to the new employees, I'm just saying that it's second in priority. So that doesn't answer anything, but it probably gives a little bit of thought on what kind of where we're headed here. But, Mr. Mayor, I do have a question for you. So they're asking for 3. Is that the ask?
Yeah,
what do you need from us?
Yeah, no, that's the ask, and I think that ask can be fleshed out during the budget hearings.
Okay, then let's do that.
I think the guidance that you've given them is 5%, and then we're gonna do the market for the other adjustments, because I think they can justify raising the salaries of some of the telecommunicators, because we are having a significant bleed of telecommunicators. And I think all that will be fleshed out at the budget.
Okay, so you don't think we need to make any additional guidance here?
No, I think this is sufficient for them. Because you're not going to be able to pass their budget here.
Right.
But I think they heard that we're confident with 5%, and then we'll work on this market study for the rest of it.
And again, that's not, I'm going to make sure I think ballpark, we're going to have the funds for that, and we'll be, I think.
Yeah,
but
From debt service,
from debt service, for probably a couple of years run it, but I don't want to, these aren't guarantees, it's just guidance.
Right.
So.
And I will pass that on, and of course, that's the thing with the ECC budget, is that we pass it there at that board level, but it's still subject to being approved. And we want to make sure that we don't have a repeat of last year where there was questions over the ARPA funds and, trying to balance all of that. We're trying to keep it as clean as possible to go to the cities and the county.
Okay, so I don't know that we need to do anything more there. Thanks for that, Mr. Mayor. Transfers?
The first one's the assessor of property. He's had a turnover in his office. He's hiring a new employee, which is, a new untrained employee, so he's adding additional duties to another employee, so he's asking to transfer funds, and he's here if you need to talk to him.
Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
The second one's a clerk and master. He's had a full-time employee turnover. He's wanting to move money to hire 2 part-time employees temporarily, just so he can determine what he needs.
So it's, yeah, second. So this is just moving from 1 full-time to 2 part-time.
For temporarily.
I have one question. Healthcare, I know that that's been an issue before when we moved in. They don't get
They're
healthcare.
part-time.
No, not.
Anything he's actually saving the funds right now while he's trying to determine.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Do these need second reading?
No, they're
They're transfers.
They're in the same major cast. The next one's all your interbudgetary transfers, nothing unusual. One large item, but you guys already knew about it, was the jury chairs, but you guys have already went through it before, so you're aware of it.
Okay. 49, I'll entertain a motion. Page 49. Anything jumping out at anybody? There's nothing big in here.
I have one question.
Mr. Klein, go ahead.
On the second page, about a quarter way down, we got disinfectant for 8525, and we got chemicals for 8525. Is that a duplication?
No, they're just the same amount they buy them for, if you look, one of them's animal control, and then one of them says it's for the AC.
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion.
One of them's for animal control. But I'm about 100% it's not, but I will double check for you too, David. I will double check.
We have a motion, second.
I just have one question.
Ms. Boyd?
The food at the library in Hendersonville, is that standard? I just don't know what libraries do.
If you buy food for a couple of things, if you're buying it for the general public, for like a training class, or you're buying it for employees training, then that's acceptable. It's just not allowed to buy it for just, to be buying it for employees, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So they've got children's programs at the libraries, and they generally buy some snacks for them.
Okay, thank you.
Is my understanding is what those are for.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to old business. So, Mr. Mayor, I think you have an update for us on the City of Gallatin on the outstanding parking lot.
Same as last month.
Nothing.
I mean, they're waiting till we get towards the end of the garage. I think they want to do last dollar.
Okay, so I don't know that we need to do anything.
If you want to leave it for next month.
I leave it, just leave it, don't pull it, just leave it, we'll just keep revisiting, keep doing our diligence. So, this has come back and forth here, this is pending highway committee approval. Has there been a, $450,000? I entertain a motion for discussion.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Have we had highway approval, have we done this yet?
I think it went through the committee tonight.
Tonight, they did tonight, they said that they thought it was a good idea to give money, but they didn't know how much money. And then they said, they talked about salary studies, and they went around and around.
So last month, I think, the last time around, I made a motion, I think, for $100,000. So I'll make a motion for $100,000, make a motion for $100,000.
I mean,
We need a second though.
Well, I don't want a second.
I'll make a motion to discuss.
Yeah.
Well, we had discussed it, we already discussed it, so, all right, go ahead.
I think,
You're right, I'd forgotten, sorry.
the whole intent, is the highway, from my part, is to move it to budget, because if we would have sat on it tonight, we don't meet till every other month, so.
Right.
So we bring it to the table here, I want to know, how much I don't know what Mr. Ellis's intention is how much per employee we're going to be considering for a bonus. I still want to see, when I went to the command center and talked to some of the deputies that day, for the Sebastian search, asked one of the deputies, and I'll keep his name anonymous, what they thought of the step increase. Is it providing, more retention? Is it something is it building up morale, knowing that if they commit year 1, year 2, and so on, they're going to go higher? He said yes. He seemed to think that the overall consensus on that was a positive thing. I would really like to see, and I know it's probably gonna be another day to discuss this, ultimately, I'd like to see the highway department go into that. I'm on the record last budget cycle, thinking we needed to benchmark and incentivize people for staying, so.
Mr. Mansfield?
So I would just, my understanding from highway, it was a recommendation just for a one-time.
It was for a bonus.
Because looking at, it was based on, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Loring, on unexpected revenues that they've had in an amount of like $135,000, I thought I heard.
Currently, when I compare expected revenues to budget, that's just year to date, it's been good on. He's brought in about a little over $135,000 extra dollars in, revenue. So if you finish out the year, and I think the amount that Toby mentioned to me once was $150,000, there's a high probability he's gonna bring in an additional $150,000. There's no guarantee things can happen, but it looks now likely.
And that's why we were arguing, just for the record here, and that it's one of the reasons why we were stating that this would not necessarily increase any maintenance effort. This would not cause, it's a one-time bonus based on that number. That was why I made the motion I made. But anyway, did you have any more?
I mean, so if we're looking right now, we know $135,000, so we feel comfortable with it. And so, is that just between now and June?
The 135 is what we've already, like, when we do our budget based on historical, we have a amount budgeted for each month, so this is the month that's already went past, and we're showing an extra 135,000, you've got several months left.
Correct, but I'm just saying, like, this bonus is basically that he's gonna come back asking for more money.
Correct.
So we're talking about the end of the budget cycle.
Yeah, that's correct. End of the budget cycle, it's a one-time budget.
To figure out what can we afford as far as the permanent salary increase.
Yeah, we'll do that during budget. Yeah, this is a one-time thing.
I know, I'm just trying to clarify and separate.
Yeah.
To understand, like, we're in March.
Yeah.
June's 3 months away, I want you to say, we're almost there. This is just a one-time bonus until the end of the budget.
Correct. And Ms. Boyd, you had a
So,
comment.
I have 2 points, and they're different. I'd like to speak to the one that's a little off topic, but I'd like to address the staff. So when we did the sheriff's salary adjustment, we didn't put in it was, and Mr. Long can speak to this, we were not putting in a step scale. We used that to ensure that we were not making a new employee paid more than a 5-year employee. We were not installing a step scale that you're speaking of. And if somebody else has a different idea, I know that when we sat down, that was never my intent. So I just want to address that. Is that what people think happened? Because I don't know what y'all think. You know the difference, what we're talking about here?
Yeah, you wanted people who had longevity with the department to not get overrun by brand new employees.
Right, so we just used it a way to get there.
I think this is a bit of a semantics thing.
Okay.
When people think about that in their mind,
They don't
like,
know that, they don't think they're gonna automatically step in the next budget, because I think that's what I'm hearing. That's what I heard, and that's why I wanted to make sure that we addressed it.
This was so the way I think to describe this is, that was a one-time adjustment by level.
Right.
It was not putting in place a step system.
No, in other words, like, the
Yeah.
guy's been here X number of years versus another guy that, we're kind of looking at that,
Well, it was a one-time,
It was
just
a
to
one-time
get the, just to
adjustment.
get the,
One-time adjustment by level,
Right.
but
To get
not
the-
a step system. They're
Right,
very different.
in other words, you got a guy here 20 years
Correct.
versus a guy at 1 year.
but that was a one-time
One-time
thing,
adjustment,
and
but you don't-
not like we're gonna come in and step
And
it all
step it up
No.
every time.
Because that's a bit,
It's different.
it's a big difference.
It's different.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes
Okay.
sense, and that's what we were
I just wanna make sure
discussing.
Yeah,
that
no.
we're all on that. The money that we're talking about, how many employees is that, and what is it per employee?
For Toby's,
Yes.
I believe he's got 58 full-time, 59 right
So
now.
what are we talking about per employee on this?
I
And
think,
is it gonna be
oh,
spread evenly, or are we gonna go
looks like
admin,
thank you,
down,
Ben
or?
Rose and that.
Well, yeah, let's suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules.
We have motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Ellis.
It's gonna be spread out over 59 people. What we're trying to do is keep retaining employees to make it through the end of the year. And we've gotten into the budget, I was trying to do a bump increase with a pay raise. Of course, we've been talking about that since November, and now we're getting to this point where we felt like if we could at least do a one-time bonus, and then I could keep my guys through going into the summer and into the new year, then I can stop the bleeding something like
For you, just divide it.
135 divided by,
Well, if it was 150, that would be his benefit, so it's gonna be less than that total divided by 59 people.
so, about $1,000. Wrap rate like 1.5.
That'd be 2,500 bucks, and then it should be about two.
So,
Two, okay. Yeah. About two, okay.
and
Is
then,
that everybody, or just the field people?
That's generally,
Just the field, so it'd be less than 59, so you probably talking.
well, the 59, none of the people in the office will be getting it. There'll be mechanics and all the people.
You're probably talking
25, solid $2,500 at least.
You'll take out benefits because your retirement for
Well, I'll get her, she got one more, and then I'll get you.
so, I just wanted to put out here exactly what's gonna happen. I'm all for people making more money, but next month, which department's gonna be back for bonuses?
Well, there's already one who's gonna be, we're gonna talk about this,
Yeah,
which is,
so, how much are we gonna go altogether? Maybe we should talk about how many departments are gonna get bonuses as a grouping.
Gotta be careful on bonuses for overtime. Toby's running comp time, so it shouldn't create the issue, but if we start doing bonuses, things such as EMS that pay significant overtime, you can create.
here's, I mean, so, well, go ahead, Mr. Klein.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear a couple of things with Toby. Toby, you've lost 13 people and you're asking to put 8 back. What was the 5 that?
I've lost 15 since I've been in office and 9 since January. And I put, of the 9 that I've lost, I put about 5 back.
Okay, so help me with the math because it's simple math. We have had 13 people leave the highway department due to pay this year, and we're looking for.
I've lost 9.
Okay, I'm just reading what you wrote.
I've lost 15 since I took office.
Okay,
So she's old.
so the sheet's old, okay.
He's lost 2 more since he did the sheet.
Okay, so this is not accurate.
And basically, I've been trying to hire people as weekend, I've made some hires.
Okay, and so we're talking about $450,000 split among.
No, it's
No.
150. When we started this out, we were trying to do a pay increase, and then that was a misprint. It should have been 225,000.
Is what?
We're just trying to do 150 for a one-time.
Well, we haven't made a motion yet, but, any other questions for Mr. Ellis? All right, I'm gonna pull it. Do you have another question? You sure?
I'm looking at 450 on this, but we're down to 150 now.
Well, we haven't gotten down to anything yet, because we haven't made a motion, but there's a rationale here.
We're on old business B, right?
We are, and what we're saying is, we see it, but there isn't a motion on the floor. And what Mr. Ellis had just said is that was a misprint. The
And I asked a question about what the revenues, and it's
Correct.
135 that we know.
That's right.
And he said maybe 150.
Right, and the original Toby came in much earlier asking for 450 for raises. Now he's asking for about a third of that for one-time bonuses.
Correct.
Okay.
So he's changed his request.
So because you've got the revenues
Correct.
for it, we're not having, it's not new money.
Correct.
Necessarily, like from the budget. It is
Correct.
unexpected money over and above.
Correct.
That is, we're out.
Correct.
So now it's 135, not
Correct.
150, correct?
Right.
That's right. So, I'm gonna make a statement, and I'm gonna make a motion on my own committee here, which I rarely do, but I think now that we all understand the rationale behind the motion. So, Ms. Boyd made a comment about, everybody's gonna be coming in with requests, and that's our, look, we started down that path when we did the adjustment for the sheriff's office. Hold on, just a second. The problem here, and some of this is not inflicted, or has not been inflicted on, some of this is just a result of a weird economic kind of situation and inflation that has occurred in a lot of different spots. But to Ms. Boyd's comment, which is true, yes, we're gonna have several other people coming in, but we've done 2 things, which I think was the right thing to do. It's pretty hardcore, we were very hardcore last year. And what we basically did was squeeze below market across the board. Inflation ran at, 5% and had been running at 5%. Back looking, we kept people at 2 or 3%. So we squeezed. We did that on purpose. But when you squeeze like that, you kind of sit and wait. We can have all of the studies, the market studies and all that we want, but at the end of the day, when you really squeeze, you start learning where you're bleeding by when people start leaving and voting with their feet. And here's what we know. We know that, Toby's lost 15, he's lost probably 20% of his overall, not that much, 15-20% of his overall workforce. We know EMS is bleeding as well. And we know we know that custodial staff have been very difficult to maintain. We know that some clerks have been getting squeezed there. So it's not going to be everywhere, right? People are not fleeing the schools. Teachers are not fleeing the schools. We're not having retention problems at the sheriff's department. We were having them, because of your analysis, we were having,
He did the.
both of you, but you both were.
Yeah.
There was some area that were suffering more than others, and we made those adjustments. So the idea here that we're going to be able to we're having to kind of fix these as we go a little bit, and so I'm comfortable with this as long as we consider them one-time raises, one-time bonuses off cycle, because they're not, we are not layering these into a typical pay scale. It's one time. So my motion here for Mr. Ellis is for $135,000, which we know is covered as of today with additional revenues. $135,000 for his department for one-time bonuses.
Second.
Motion and second. Ms. Ward.
I still had one item that I want to bring up. And, on the sheriff, one of the ways that we found, once we looked at the numbers a lot more, it was the jailers that were way under market. But the first ask, and still today the same ask, is on us that why didn't we just give the sheriff the money and spread it evenly across the board? But it was due to that 3-day deep dive with the three of us that we could see that the disparity was in the jailers. And that's where we put the bulk of the money. So what I'm saying is, as these bonuses come forward, are we not again going to look to see where the money needs to go? Or are we just going to spread it evenly? And that's what I want to lay on the table.
Are you making an amendment?
I'm wanting discussion.
Well, we can still discuss it. The difference here and there is, one, the scope of it is much larger.
Yeah.
Much larger. Two, the timing of this is like, this is a one-time bonus, and the two very different things. And two, the timing is a lot different, right? On that one, we were in the middle of a budget cycle. Here, we're toward the end of one. So I feel that that's enough difference to warrant not really needing to pile into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer the bonuses over salary changes for sure.
Oh, yeah, bonuses.
And I think that who knows better than Toby how he wants to split it up.
Yeah.
He knows his people, I don't.
Yeah. And it's a much smaller department too. Any other discussion? All in favor? Oh, go ahead.
Second.
Yeah, I want to waive the second.
Wait a second, reading?
Yeah. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
So the 135 total.
135,000.
With benefits, and it comes by increasing projected revenue.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the idea. Okay. So we are now at,
Item D.
yeah, we skipped C. So, your disability insurance policy, Mr. Long?
Let me summarize it quickly.
Yes, please.
Had significant difficulty getting the disability policy. It's going to be very expensive. Talking to the law director, he was amicable, if you look here at this sheet, and we never did buy one because of the cost. He'd be amicable with two things. If you removed item 6 from his contract where it discusses disability and increased his base pay rate by $4,500 in lieu of the cost.
And I just want to be clear, the only thing that's in budget is the 4,500. Legislative has already pushed the removal of 6, so we just FYI.
But they would work together. He's given up his disability.
Yeah.
And the problem you've got right now is your actual contract with him says that he will accept a benefit from a policy
But
that only
you're striking that.
Yeah, she got hers at a much younger age, and it's just not cost effective for the county, and
So you
it's
you
not
struck
worth
it,
me
and
continue to
you're striking it, and we're doing $4,500.
Yes, sir.
But it would
Okay.
need a budget amendment and a waive for the second, for
All right.
$4,500 amendment to that motion.
We have a motion,
Second.
and a second. You're waiving the second reading?
I'll waive the second reading.
You good with that for the second? Okay. Any
$4,500
discussion?
plus benefits, the cost of benefits.
Okay.
You have to make care retirement.
Give us another. All right. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Franklin Street Stormwater Project. Mr. Klein, any update on this?
Yes, I spoke with David Kellogg today, and for those of you who don't know, the first thing that has to happen there is the water line has to go in. Because there are two different water lines in there that will have to become inactive. So he has let the bids, tomorrow night he goes before the city council to get approval. If that happens, he won't start before the very end of April or May 1st. I say that to point out that nothing's going to break if we don't make this happen tonight. And what I am proposing to do is Mr. Kellogg has some specialized pipe people that understand the city and all the complications of those 100-year-old roads. I would like, now that I've gotten the drawings from Ms. Norfleet today, I would like to discuss with one or two of his pipe contractors the costs, because I think this is awfully high. And if I could have a month to do due diligence on this, if I find that the prices are vastly different, then if I'm understanding it right from Mr. Lawing, we could ask Turner to walk away.
If they're willing to.
If they're willing to.
But they have, well, the way I'm looking at it now, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, and I've seen it illegal. We bid a construction manager at risk for the courthouse, or whatever you want, Justice Center, and the garage. We moved the garage. It says they do the complete job. It says anything outside their control, if the architect signs on the valid change order. So right now, the 595, 504, they're requesting the valid change order. If they argue with it, I think we're really pretty much required to do it if it was enforced.
Right.
If they're willing,
right of first refusal and all this.
if they walk away, then yes, but if they walk away, then we're gonna need to go back and bid it.
And bid it, yes. Yes, so I am willing to spend the time to do this due diligence in an attempt to save what I think should be at least $200,000.
And the other question comes about if we do bid it, what's gonna happen with the construction manager risk, because they have that daily cost, we'll need to talk to them about that too.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, is there any issue with this? Like, pushing off a month here? No problem. Okay, so you're asking for defer?
Yeah.
All right, I mean, with,
That water line will not be done until probably.
we have a motion, I'll second it, motion to defer, okay, motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we defer for a month.
Thank you.
Okay, got it. All right, we're on new business. Woo-hoo. Carryovers.
66
Yeah, we
is
got
an
a couple big ones.
existing, 66 through, what page is it on? 76 is actually a project that was approved a while back, and this is just a carryover for it. It's a little late, but, you know, they need to still carry over. And the actual resolution from 2022 is included, it explains the project.
Yeah.
And the actual, we try to include everything that was pertinent, including, I think, the copies of the budget reports in there.
This is not new funding, right? This is,
No, it's just a carryover of the new project that's going on right now.
It's a $2.2 million project that we're managing on behalf of Edison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's 250,
Yeah. And it's ready to move forward, if you guys could go ahead and
Can I
approve it.
just put an ask on that?
we need a, motion to discuss, motion
Motion to discuss.
motion, second, all in favor?
Can I just put an ask on to Hendersonville as as we, go to fulfill our agreement here, and I'm good with this, but could we ask them for an answer on when they're gonna pay their shared cost of the assessor?
And is that a motion?
I mean, an up or a down, because it's important before we start legal procedures in July. So if we could just ask them that question.
Is that a motion to
That would be
approve
a
with the?
motion. I'd like to amend this to add this principle along to say, are you gonna pay us or not? We just want a yes or a no
Motion and
before you get your
second.
$250,000.
Go ahead.
My only caution there would be we're playing our hand when we don't need to yet. If it's really not due yet, then I don't think we need to be
Yes, sir.
putting.
I was willing to vote for that.
I gotta wait till the,
Just
we're just trying to get it done.
She can withdraw her motion.
I will withdraw my motion.
Can you waive the second reading on this one?
We need a motion now that the motion's withdrawn.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
With waiving the second reading.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. But the record definitely reflects.
Don't say we didn't ever do anything for him. But hey, the argument's in the county.
I was gonna ask that. I'm not saying we shouldn't collect. I mean, I'm just,
Page number 77 is just a fee that they actually collect at EMS for the medical examiner to do the training. And they're asking to utilize part of it to train related to the 5 death investigators.
okay, this is page 77. Okay, $8,400.
It's from a dedicated,
Entertain a
reserve.
motion to, approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second.
Are you waiving?
Are you waiving it, Ms.
I'll
Boyd?
waive the second
And
reading.
second's good with that, all in favor? Aye. So, pay stubs. Mr. Long,
This came through, I believe, United Emergency Services, and it was a request from, or it's actually a carryover from Emergency Services, but contingent upon their approval. And I believe it passed tonight. Monday night, I'm sorry, last Monday night.
so is this a request for
I think
funding?
they're requesting additional funding for salaries based upon the high number of turnovers.
Mr. Paulus, you and I spoke a little bit, and I apologize, I was trying to speak with you last week, but, I'd like to suspend the rules to, a motion to suspend the rules. Motion, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, Mr. Paulus, I know you and I spoke, so can you kind of outline what your ask is here?
Absolutely. So, if you look at the benchmarks that we put out there, the main benchmark that we looked at is the annual salary of our paramedics. All right, so you'll see that next to that is the number of hours that are required to work per year per agency to obtain that salary. Right now, we are $8,000 to $10,000 per year below like agencies around us. At the time, right now, Wilson County, they're fully staffed, Robertson County, they're fully staffed. National Fire Department is looking at hiring 32 more paramedics by the end of the fiscal year. This month alone, they've taken 4 from us. Our current staffing situation is we're down 10 paramedics out of our field staff. We have 2 that are out on work injury, with an unknown amount of time that they'll be out. Say all that to say we're at a staffing crisis. We are looking, after this week, when the people go to Metro leave that have turned in their resignation, we will likely see ambulances being closed, due to a lack of paramedics out there. Right now, everybody that's paying better than us is able to suck them up from us, and that's what we do. We have fallen behind, I think mainly because last year, our county approved our budget early, and we got that done, and then later on, all the other counties saw where they need to be, and they increased it in July and August. So that's how we fell apart. The plan was to let this ride until the new budget cycle, as you guys have discussed. But I felt like we needed to come back to you, because we are looking to shut ambulances down at this time. If we're not able to, up the pay to retain who we have, as Metro hires their next 32, and to recruit new hires as well.
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd. I'm just doing some
Mr.
math
Klein
here.
beat me.
Oh, Mr. Klein, go ahead.
Yes.
math on. Go ahead.
Chief Boss, these are straight salary numbers, right?
Yes, and so I can give you a little bit more on that. So I put everything into that yearly salary for Sumner County EMS that I could throw into it.
All the
Holidays,
benefits.
all of our, well, not, insurance benefits and, TCRS benefits. But I can tell you that the only difference that I have found with one county for sure, is Robertson County, and Ms. Boyd maybe would help us more after working in the sheriff's office, is they do pay the 5%, that we discussed in TCRS. But Robertson County is the only agency that I know that does that.
What's TCRS?
For state retirement.
So, it's my turn.
Go ahead,
Go
Ms.
ahead.
Boyd,
So,
please.
this
Sorry.
is an issue
being a
that
bad
we
chairman doing math.
that we discussed a lot in the sheriff's salary discussion, and Craddock was kind of for it at some point, and I'm not sure how he left the meeting. We put 5%, the county puts 11% into retirement for all of our county employees, 11%. 6 of that comes from the county, and then we at some point threw in another 5 for the employee share. So one of the things that we talked about during the sheriff thing is because, if Robertson County's in, it would be more apples to apples. But when they go and they look at another entity, it's hard to see that beginning wage when you're 20 years old and one department's paying $22 and one's paying $25, and it's not apples to apples. So one of the things we discussed back in October was that we could take that 5% for new hires and put it up front in their salary, and that would bring our beginning salaries up. That would only be for new employees. And that, Mr. Long, was that like we'd have to do it for all of them?
It'd just be new employees wouldn't.
It'd be across all departments.
It'd be across all departments.
So this is one way
Also
that
affect-
we could become more competitive, and it's not going to like change the numbers, but it makes our beginning salaries look better. And during that discussion, we discussed if new people entering the employment market would like to make more money, then they might want it there, but that would be a bigger discussion across more departments, but it would just affect new employees, but it would give us more competitive edge in hiring these people. We're putting it on the back end and we're having trouble hiring them. So I just want to bring that to the floor.
Oh, go ahead, Ms. Mansfield.
Well, there's a lot of factors, I mean, we don't know what benefits are, some counties, benefits for everybody, compared to other counties, I do know that. What is their population size of the county, what is their, debt load of the county, what is the tax revenues of the county, it's not comparing, we're not comparing apples to apples here, in some cases, especially not the tax rates, I mean, it's comparing, bananas and bolos, irregardless of, county tax rate comparable to another one, because you don't know the property values and what that penny's gonna be, and it's all gonna be different, so, but I'm just curious about population sizes, benefits package, like what, hearing what Ms. Boyd just said, and that's not, does other counties do that? I don't know, I mean, so, other than, so if we're doing 11%, and Robertson's doing 5%, that's a big difference.
So let me,
They're probably doing, yeah, I don't.
so I was just doing a little quick math here, and, I didn't get through all of them, but, I mean, I'm throwing Nashville out, because they're actually the outlier. And so I'm dividing the annual salary there by total hours worked, not regular hours, total hours worked. And we are definitely the lowest.
We are for the number of hours worked.
Yeah,
So you said that Nashville's an outlier, but look at the number of hours that they work per year, and that's their baseline.
No, I'm saying, right, but what I'm saying is, they're the outlier when I normalize. So the metric we're looking for here is, dollars per hour, right? I mean, it's kind of like to get an hourly rate. And so they're at $35.29. Everybody, Montgomery's $24.96, Robertson is $24.90, Wilson's $25.24, and sure enough, we are low, $22.28. And I mean, that's 10% difference. I mean, it's non-trivial. I don't know that I would say $10,000. You're probably talking more like 5 per, but it's considerable. What I would note here, this is my opinion. Well, I'll go. Any other questions for Mr. Foster? Can we go back in? Because I was going to make a comment. Go ahead.
Does this have the ARPA in it?
Yes, that does.
It does.
That's per hour pay.
I just want to make the point that I've had lots of people, I have a little factory in Trousdale County, and I've had employees come to me and say, I can make $2 more an hour if I drive to Lebanon. And I say, what's your time worth? What's your car worth? What is gas worth? And these are real costs. If you're driving 40 minutes instead of 10, that's an hour a day that you lose of your life. The wear and tear on your car is massive, so is the gasoline. And so we have to factor all these things in, because if they don't know what they don't know.
How many have, the question is, you're right, and we know when they vote with their feet, so how many have we lost?
Have we lost? So Metro just went forward. It was 6, we talked them into,
How many total have you lost?
we are down 10 spots right now.
You're down.
But how many have we lost over the past,
Well,
three to 4 months?
over the past year. Mr. Ellis kind of gave us a breakdown.
So 20 plus, we have rotated through.
Well, I'm not trying to rotate through. What is your net loss? Like how many? 10 is it this year? I mean, and that's out of how many?
Out of 105.
So you get about 10% drop. I mean, that's.
The problem is, so whenever you talk about squeezing the department, we've already lost all of our paramedics. We've had to replace those with 8 EMTs. Normally, we would want to have a few extra paramedics per shift for some ambulances or double medics for call-outs and things like that. We don't have those people. We're past that.
10% of the bottom line is, one, we're growing, and we're talking about needing to add people. I mean, I actually agree with this argument, and we're down 10%, and to the point where, like, you're going to have to worry about shutting down an ambulance. I mean, go ahead.
There's a little bit bigger issue with it, and I don't know if you caught that, on a, not a basic lesson, but an advanced life support ambulance has to have at least one paramedic on it. He has so many paramedic and so many EMT slots. Right now, he is filling paramedic slots with EMTs because he can't get the paramedics. So that means the number of extra paramedics you had to keep those advanced life support keeps going down and down. If it goes to the point where you don't have one per truck, you've got to shut them down. So he's got 6 or 7 or 8. He's got 6 right now, EMTs and paramedic spots right now. So we know that from the budget when I was looking at it the other day. Just making sure you guys understood that.
So, I mean, what I'm going to get at here is this. We need to make these adjustments in terms of salary adjustments. Same way, and I know, Ms. Frost, you and I talked about this, and you're going to be mad at me for this. I want to keep salary adjustments, and I do intend to make good salary adjustments. We just talked about that and gave some guidance, so that kind of ought to give you some thought that it's going to be a bit different than last year. And looking at this, these are normalization things, which we will take into consideration. But I think that salary stuff should be done during budget. Now, that doesn't mean that we couldn't do, if there was a proposal to do something similar for a one-time bonus. What's their burn at right now?
Got a concern about them, and this is my concern with them. They pay a lot of overtime. When you go into bonuses, that messes with the overtime calculation.
That was my next.
We're going to have to go back and be really careful that we don't end up not paying time and a half. So we're going to have to consider that into all these overtime calculations, and we're going to have to look at that closely. See, Toby's doing a lot of comp, so his will work out better.
Boy.
So my one issue that carry over from last year is the 70,000 hours of overtime. I would just like to have a plan to move away from that. I did ask, I've been told that's the normal thing, but I did ask CTAS, they told me that's not normal to have 70,000 hours of overtime. And I don't know what the answer is, but if we could work towards a plan to budget not 70,000 hours of overtime, and a plan. I'm not asking for the answer, just wanna that we are gonna get a plan. There must be some way. I don't know of any business that just budgets for overtime without, if we need to pay more, if we need to have more training, if we need to open up more education opportunities, whatever it is, we need to really head in that direction.
Well, the thing is, you've got to have so many sitting in a truck at a time, so if you are going to cut overtime, you're going to have more employees. and you pay health insurance on
Yeah.
those, it's gonna, there's probably a ratio.
There's no way in which this happens in which we're not paying more than, considerably more than we're paying now. It just kind of is the market.
I understand that. I just want to make sure that we're comparing apples for apples, and I don't know that we are. That's all, I want to do this intelligently, because if I can say to an EMT, or, you know, a sheriff, that, yeah, I understand that you're making $2 less per hour at a salary level, but in the long run, because you have this, and this, you're actually making $5 more an hour than they are in Robertson.
Well, I mean, I get it, but 10% of his people are not convinced, so.
Well, but it may be as simple as it wasn't explained to them, because as I was making the point about my employees, so many of them come back because they realize at the end of the day, they're losing money by driving to Lebanon and making $2 more an hour than they would have if they would have stayed with, and we take them back.
Well, I mean, nevertheless, this type of benchmark is what we do during, we're talking salary, I mean, I think this part is the move point.
Right.
So there's not, I mean, I would like to do something, I'll get to in just a second, we're still under, we're not, I'll get to in a second. I mean, so there's nothing we can do with a bonus or anything?
You can, but the issue, we're gonna have to look at it and see how it affects their overtime calculations. They pay a lot of overtime, that's.
Could you?
Do we pay time and a half for that overtime?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, anything over 40 hours worked in a week.
Yes. So Mr. Foss?
Yeah, so what brought the emergency here is the lack of paramedics in the pipeline. Right, Ball State had to drop a cohort last year because people just were not into the job. They can go do a number of other jobs, and make the same amount or more money. So if we continue to bleed and hemorrhage, they're not out there for us to pick right back up if we wait until July 1 and then we get a pay bump. So we're gonna be so far behind by then, that it will take quite some time to catch up to where we can get all those stations back in service.
So is it at all, I mean, I know this is somewhat, abnormal, but is there any way you could have work with Mr. Foss to have something for the full commission?
Such as,
Like just an idea of what, a dollar figure that would give some amount of bonus, could work that would account for the overtime?
we can look at the bonus, what I'm saying is it's gonna affect their calculations, we're all gonna have to look at.
What do you mean?
Or you have to pay somebody after 40 hours work, because they're not on tour of duty, 1 1/2 times the rate, and it includes bonus. So we have to figure out how it's gonna go, get back into that calculation.
Back down the bonus,
Yes, I mean, that's what you do. You
back
start,
down the bonus,
that's what
like
you,
1,200, and
Yeah,
let's
you-
go through the
you back
calculations
it.
and add up.
yeah, that's how,
Give them a bonus and spread it on the regular rate through the rest of the year.
I mean, yeah, and I'm not saying
Instead
dictate.
of a one-time bonus, well, you could do a bonus on their hourly rate. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it.
Ms. Kleinman, Ms.
Of the shortage of your employees, how many are paramedics?
Well, like you just said, we have 6 that we've had to fill with AEMT spots.
Mm-hmm.
And so another, yeah, so you're looking at 12 paramedics that we're short.
Okay, so the problem's with paramedics.
Right, that's why I said that's the benchmark.
Can we bonus only the paramedics?
Yeah,
We could, I mean,
that's what I'm
Miss-
saying.
Ms. Miller? you have your hand up.
Where is this money gonna come from? Where's the bonus gonna come from?
I mean, because it's not like they don't have extra revenue. I mean, they do have extra revenue, but they're still a net
They
loss.
don't have extra.
I thought they had, no, I know they're a net loss, but I think it's less of a loss than what we had anticipated, I think.
I think it's more than a loss.
What is it? No, I'm not saying it pays for itself at all.
We looked at upstairs, we think they're gonna bring in extra, but it's hard to determine how much right now, it's not. It could be anywhere from 50,000 to 500 right now, we're still pretty far.
Too big of a.
And the issue ended up with timing differences and lags, like me and Mr. Foss went upstairs and looked at revenue, and he had a $313,000 payment on the 8th of March. So we think it's probably gonna have excess, but if that happens in
I've got it.
July, we won't.
Right.
You're good.
Because we
Well, I
only
mean, you
pick
didn't
up
answer my
30.
question, where's the money go?
Well, we don't know. I don't think we have the answer.
So fund balance
Well,
I mean, it would come from fund balance.
or rainy day?
It's not gonna come from, it wouldn't be a transfer.
But my point is on the, if you do a one-time bonus, it's gonna be one check, we have to figure out how to calculate it back over their hourly rate. If you give them a one-time bonus as a hourly rate increase for the rest of the year, it really works the same dollars.
So we could play with this. Here's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
But I like what Mr. Klein is saying about the paramedics' problem.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll help.
so here's what I would propose, that Ms. Boyd, Mr. Long, and Mr. Foss sit through and see if there's a path here, for a one-time bonus.
You know that little trailer I wanted for Hendersonville? My little trailer would be that we don't go this late again.
Yeah, so-
And that would be for the next 12 months, okay? Can you
So that's,
guess on
all right,
that?
so,
And I would also encourage a signing bonus for paramedics.
well, we can explore all of these. That's a good idea, too.
That I
All
might
right.
actually be.
There we go. So we have a second on that? Just give that directed to, motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So that's what we'll have, this we'll work with this week.
Matt, what did we just vote on?
We just
Direct.
Create a subcommittee.
Just second.
We got a subcommittee now?
But, well, I don't know that it's, I mean, does it have to be a subcommittee? All
I'm
they're
not
gonna be
saying
doing
it does, I
all they're
just
doing
want to be clear.
a working group.
Let's just say we're gathering data.
Working group, and they're
Let's just say gathering
gathering.
data only, no recommendations.
There you go.
If we make recommendations, you have
That's
to.
what we do. All right, so let's continue here. Okay, case study, Hendersonville Library, technology grant, Mr. Long,
Just a flow-through grant for, I think it's this particular.
$1,100, $1,000.
This is the same as the ones from last month,
Yeah.
right?
We have a motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Wait, did we have no's? Well, was that you?
You wanna wait the second reading?
Okay, wait a second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries unanimously, wait a second reading. Highway, additional revenue, hot mix, so, go ahead.
I had a question. This is just where he worked on the roads over for one of the cities and an insurance recovery. My understanding is these should not be included in your MOE, the insurance recovery or that, but if you look on County Technical's website, it says only debt and something else is not included. That's contrary to my understanding. So I have emailed County Technical to ask them
Anything
what
we
they
can
got
do on
from.
this?
I would say pass it because Toby needs his money, but if they want to pass it contingent upon an answer from the MOE question I had. from-
Yeah.
And I'm getting ready to open the code on potholes, and it's cost me a fortune. I need the money.
Exactly. But there was a question from, and it was Mr. Teachner that asked me, and but my understanding is that your MOE is only local revenues. Well, insurance recovery is not a revenue, it's a other source, and
Okay.
the other one's other way down here. But if you read what the county technical, has published for MOE for highway, it would say this is included, but I don't agree with that, so I have sent them an email to ask them where they got that from.
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So if we got an answer back and this goes into MOE, that means from now on, every year, you're gonna give another $500,000
Yes.
to highway? Yep.
My understanding that's not the case, but I have sent a
It
verification.
shouldn't be the case, but
Let's,
But if you pull from their website, it says, what it says here on theirs is,
can we, now, we should have done this from ARPA, but now we've spent all the general,
well, this is money he's gotten reimbursed. It says, bond issues, it says, if appropriated, the local funds have to meet the 5-year, which this isn't local, not less than the average of 5 years, except bond issues and federal revenue sharing proceeds shall be excluded. Well, they say federal revenue shall be excluded. Well, you've got to think of that. You've got state sharing is not included, insurance shouldn't be, this should be. I just want to get clarification of where they got that language from.
we can make a motion to, we're gonna have to true him up next year anyway on hot mix, because this stuff just keeps going up and up, but there's nothing we can do about it.
I don't think there's a real issue on it, I'm just.
Yeah, I get it, all right, so anybody wanna make a motion here? I'd entertain what's that? Go
We're
ahead.
in discussion, right?
We're in discussion now, I didn't know if anybody wanted to make a motion to approve.
$500,000, I mean, I was here in highway, is this what they were talking about coming from, it's coming from insurance, from the tractor, or? That's where the money, like, where's?
Part of it, and then the other is for his reimbursed where he did some paving.
For Westmoreland.
Yeah, it's revenue.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, but you don't know for sure if it's MOE.
My understanding is it's local revenue, which would be like property tax, wheel tax, but if you read, it should not count this, but if you read what CTAS has, it says, except for bond proceeds and federal revenue, which, if you think beyond that logic, you also include state aid sharing, which you have millions of dollars.
It shouldn't.
I think you're fine, but I'll send an email.
I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, me and Judy wanted $30,000 something for a truck, or I can't remember what it was. We were going to put out the COVID money. And the argument was, it was going to increase, I think, it was going to increase MOE. It wasn't, I contacted CTAS.
No, federal does not, no.
Okay, so that was a different.
No, it was fine, federal revenue is
But
definitely.
the argument was, it's going to increase MOE at the time, but it wasn't true.
No, and then I told them that, I think somebody said, I never even say that.
I know, somebody else.
Right, but that was mine, and they were telling me that it does not count federal. I think the argument with Judy was she wanted revenue recovery funds, just with her other one, but yeah.
Go ahead, we have a motion, go ahead.
Contingent on not raising any of the.
Okay, so motion, I'll second it. The motion is to approve this contingent on CTAS confirming that it.
Waiving.
Wait a second, I'm good with that. Okay.
Y'all good with it.
So it's contingent on we can contact CTAS. CTAS is gonna say, we're pretty certain based on that, those definitions that it's not going to. But this is contingent on that.
I just want
As long as that's in there.
Yeah, that was the motion. That was the motion.
I just wanted to explain where they got the verbiage from, I don't know.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Who's your second?
Okay. I wasn't second.
He did
it.
He did it, yeah.
Okay,
You can blame.
so revised COLA rates, this is, go ahead.
Last year, they, I guess the administrative courts, calculated the wrong amount for the sessions judges. This is correcting it. The judges make a certain amount based on statute, and their calculations they provided last year were wrong. The letters attached, they told you a small amount. If you look on page, what page are they on? 102, 103. If you look on there, the actual letters attached, they reported that they should have got a raise of 4%, but it should have been 5% last year.
I'll motion.
Motion is second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Hey, real quick, on item number 4, are you just gonna reach out to CTAS, Mr. Long?
On the first one, yes, I've already reached out to them.
Oh, okay.
And this right here, can you guys waive the second reading, because we're required to pay for it?
Go ahead. Does that waive the second reading?
I'll amend my motion to waive the second reading.
Second's good with it, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So 18,346 for data processing.
They switched back from Patriot to the state system. The assessor's office received the bill, which is actually for the trustee, but the trustee's office wasn't aware. But since we went back to the state, there's actually a cost here that they're gonna have to pay if they didn't know about.
Okay. Is there anything we can,
No,
Your assessor's going back to the state's
Yes.
program?
They went back to the state one.
Independent?
And there's some cost that was picked up because of that. And this is one of the trustee's office didn't know anything about. And they're gonna pick it up next year's budget, but they didn't have the money in this year's budget for it.
so this is a new appropriation here.
I just, question.
No, motion discussed. Second, all in favor? Aye. Mr. Lansfield?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but I thought you were against the state software about 5 years ago. Is that true, or that you, I remember, I think the software system, the assessment package was using, that was separate from the state. I remember you were arguing against the state at that time. Has something changed?
Well, I'm still not arguing for the state system. No, I felt that Sumner County should be on the independent system.
That's all right,
For the size that we are, yes, that was my position, but I'm not the assessor.
I was just trying to clarify, I just didn't know if you knew anything about that.
just general information, have we made this change yet, do you know?
Oh, yeah.
We're on the state, we've been on the state for a while.
What, a year now, a year and a half?
They
started the process out.
So, we can't go back.
The tax rolls I got last year, we were off the state system, so they're not.
Okay.
And this is an actual bill we were holding right now to pay the state, they're wanting to run.
All right.
Wait a second on that one.
We probably need to, they're waiting to be paid.
I'll make a motion to do this and wait a second reading. I don't like it, but I will. Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Development Services, sidewalk project.
Jimmy explained this one, and Josh is back here if you need additional explanation. Basically, the county has some old sidewalks that we've adopted that are non-ADA compliant. As long as we're moving toward ADA compliance, we're fine. There was a grant that's going a long way toward that. The grant disappeared and a new grant's coming in. The new grant requires a larger match. You guys put an amount back each year for ADA. You put back $150,000 this past year that's still there. Josh, before he goes and applies for this new grant to handle the sidewalk issue, wants you guys' approval, or for better words, blessing, to move the $150,000 or a portion thereof over for matching for this new grant. And I don't think I missed anything.
It's not a new grant, it's just.
A replacement grant.
Right, so there, like David was saying, there was federal funding that was in this CRISA program, is what it's called.
I'm gonna go ahead just to be on, motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay.
There was called CRISA funding, and Congress back middle of last year adopted a new bill that rescinded that money. That happens sometimes, and what that meant was there were 10 projects that were awarded grant money for different things, in the middle of the state. And so, when they rescinded the funds, that meant that anything that wasn't under contract, lost, and it got rolled back into the federal budget. And so this isn't a new grant, still the same project, same award, we've been awarded it, it's just a new funding source that the MPO can use to kind of move over. But that one, we had a 10% match on the old one, the new funding source requires a 20% match. And so, if y'all want to move forward on this project, we need about $128,000 days, I think it's something like that.
What was the previous? What was the previous amount?
It's a $1.2 million project.
And the previous amount was one million, so you're asking for an additional $1.2 million.
We had 128 set aside already, we need, because the match is essentially doubled, we need to match.
So this is I have a question real quick, and then I'll get to you, Ms. Miller. So this, could that ARPA funding?
We don't even have to go there because there's already $150,000 put out for ADA this year we haven't utilized, so he just wants to utilize.
Okay, got it.
He's asking to transfer that, so he's not asking for anything.
Got it. Ms. Miller?
Where is this?
That's just east of Airport Road, you know where that is, outside of Gallup. So those are, all those, not all the sidewalks, but a number of those sidewalks, that's an old Gallup planning region, if y'all remember what that was. There's a couple of you might know what it is. So there's an area outside the city limits that used to be under, it was in the county, but it was under the city's planning and zoning jurisdiction. And so those subdivisions were built under the city's rules at the time. And so the issue is that the sidewalks are less than 3 feet wide, ADA compliance is 5. And so that's kind of a low-hanging fruit for us to be able to do some things in our plan.
Did they not, I'm not done.
Go ahead.
Do they not have an HOA in this neighborhood?
Not that I know of, no. It was back in the 90s when that was approved, they don't typically have HOA.
Because I've been told until I'm blue in the face that we do not deal with sidewalks in the county and subdivisions.
So, I guess my question is, why are we doing sidewalks at all?
Because I mean, I've literally been told over and over and over and over.
Every time we adopted it with the road.
Why are we even having to do this if the sidewalk is there? I mean, why do we have to?
They're in the public right of way. Every place deals with them a little differently in terms of who's in charge of them, who has control of them, and who has to maintain them, that kind of thing.
Ms. Boyd's been in queue here.
But they're in the right of way, and so they were shown as a deficiency in our ADA transition plan that was adopted a couple years ago.
Ms. Miller, do you have anything else?
Oh, she can go ahead, but yeah, I'll have more questions.
So I realize my neighborhood is in the city of Gallatin, and we're talking about county, but I just had, a blind person in my neighborhood call. They didn't have bumps in all the spots. And so what I'm wondering, are we targeting areas of need? I mean, are we gonna put in a sidewalk where there's not a need, where there's no one blind that needs the bump? Or we actually know where there might be people, because my neighborhood, which is in the city and not covered under what we're doing for the county, I would definitely say the blind person, they called me, they want, you know, they're in need. So are we just like, oh, there's some sidewalks over there, we could fix those, or do we actually know there is a person there?
Well, it's not just.
Or maybe they're gonna move there,
Well,
right?
I don't know where who might move anywhere, but
Yeah.
it's not just to fix, you know, the ADA issues related to you're talking to little bumps for their.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about, yeah.
That-
But you're
those-
making them
those-
wider too, I understand.
Those would be installed now. These were picked because they're the worst in the county. Basically, the ADA consultant decided that they were the worst in the county in terms of how wide they are. We've got mailboxes that are cutting part of the sidewalk. They're less than 3 feet wide, and in places they're less than that because there's a mailbox there. And so this project would basically be to go in and fix all of it. It's not something the county has to do, not something that, you know, the world's not gonna end if y'all don't wanna move forward with this. But it's a noted issue that's in that ADA transition plan that shows progress, and that's usually what they look for is, are you making incremental progress in implementing that ADA transition plan? Because that's all eventually tied back to federal funding, that comes down for transportation projects and that kind of thing.
Anything else, Mr. Klein?
This is a neighborhood that has some sidewalks and doesn't have in front of other houses, right?
I think so, yeah, it's patchy, and so there are some plans in there, not necessarily to run new sidewalks. There's some places where and Marshall's not here, Marshall knows a lot more about the nitty-gritty details of this than I do, but right, there's some spots where there are no sidewalks, within the neighborhood.
But we wouldn't be putting sidewalks in there.
No, it's just.
We're just correcting
So we're not putting any new sidewalks in?
No.
We're fixing existing?
Not that I'm aware of. There might be I seem to recall there's a little segment that there's an issue with the sidewalks on one side of the road, and there are no sidewalks on the other side of the road. We're gonna kind of split the difference and put new sidewalks in on the other side of the road, basically. I'm not totally familiar with that exact detail of the project. But by and large, no new sidewalks, just replacing the deficient ones that are there.
Okay.
And ramps and all the other stuff that you have to put in from the ADA requirement.
Mr. Klein, do you have anything else? Ms. Miller?
So how many other subdivisions are gonna line up now and say, well, you fix sidewalks in Rolling Acres, they come in 6 months?
And I'll tell you what we did in Collierville, in West Tennessee is different, working in West Tennessee. They take a much dimmer view of using local dollars. Well, I'd say about the same view we do in Sumner County. We've never really spent any local dollars on sidewalks here either. And when I worked in the town of Collierville, we took a lot of pride in the fact that we never had gone out and just put in new sidewalks or replaced sidewalks. But we use grant dollars. And so, to those people, what I would say, if y'all want to move forward with this project, we have others that are prioritized as well, and these opportunities come up from time to time. We would look at utilizing these, future opportunities.
All grant money?
Right. I wouldn't advocate, unless y'all want to. I mean, you could set up a program to spend $50,000 a year fixing sidewalks across the county. You can do that. But, you know, what I would say is probably look at the ones that are, if you want to fix these issues in the ADA plans, do it incrementally with grant funding is what I would advise.
I mean, just a quick question. So if I'm understanding, they want to see, the feds want to see progress.
Yeah.
And if they don't see progress, they can yank the funding back. Is that pretty much pull the funding back?
Well, so, yeah, right, so the ADA transition plan is tied, at the end of the day, the only reason we have one is because TDOT came down. There's a lady that worked for TDOT at the time named Margaret Mahler that made the rounds around the state, made a lot of enemies around the state. But they came down and the Americans with Disabilities Act has been in place for 30 years or 40 years, I don't know how long, a long time. TDOT had decided, hey, the Act passed in 1994 says every community has to have an ADA transition plan in order to get federal transportation funding. And they came down and said, do it now, basically.
Define federal transportation funds. What exactly was mass transit and federal transportation?
Any road, well, New Shackle, the New Shackle Great Project.
Intersection, lights,
any road widening projects, probably even, there's pass-through funding, I guess, that may come down to the highway department through the state as well, that might have some kind of federal origin. And so the state probably would not, it goes to everything that comes down from the state or from TDOT to the local government. If you just say, we're not doing an ADA transition plan, we're not doing any of this, we're not doing it, then ultimately they could cut off the the faucet and stop sending any transportation dollars to you at all, basically TDOT, because it all flows through TDOT or somewhere. But more, but when we talk about federal transportation projects, the example that was on the agenda this evening is that, the intersection project, New Shackle and Grace Creek. That's one. Any number of other widening projects, the Portland bypass project that is funded with tens of millions of dollars, a lot of that's out in the county as well. And so there's those kinds of things. Is there a risk this year or next year of that happening? No, it's a low risk, but that's ultimately TDOT's threat is if you don't follow through with this stuff, you don't get your plan in place, then those things start to be jeopardized. They're not, I'm not trying to create the impression that they're saying, if you don't do this sidewalk project, we're gonna start, killing your federal projects. They're not doing that. But that's the threat that it may come to that someday for the jurisdiction.
Any other questions? Thanks, Ms. Sully. Do we have a motion?
I'd like if there's not a time limit on this, I'd like to go and look and see what these sidewalks look like. Can we defer? Is there time?
Is there gonna be a?
Well, there's not a hard and fast timeline. We're the only jurisdiction that hasn't acted so far. There were 10 awards as part of this grant. And Sumner County is the only one that hasn't done anything yet. That's partially on me. I was trying to work with the NPO to see if there was another source of funding that maybe didn't require match. What the NPO told me was that TDOT was wondering why we were waiting so long, basically. Now, again, that's my fault. So there's no hard and fast deadline. They may eventually say that TDOT's not going to let us move forward with the project or something at some point, but I don't know when that will be.
I was just before, I was just wondering what they look
So
like.
this is gonna cost us what?
Another $128,000.
Another $128,000.
But we've got it
You got $150,000 ADA money already.
Transfer, not an appropriation.
Yeah, correct.
Would be a transfer.
So, motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Nope.
We have 2 noes.
And I wanted to defer, so.
Well,
Took the vote. Yeah, I know. So mine would be a no.
Okay.
Mine would be a no for a yes.
So, well, is it
3 no's.
4 to 3? 4 to 3.
Pass because it's a transfer.
Yeah, pass gets the transfer. Okay. Okay, parking garage, Gallatin electricity. It just keep on coming. Motion to discuss.
Motion second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So, what were you saying?
Let's make this short.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we've got information to our attorney, and we have asked the attorney to set a meeting with the other attorneys and start the discussion on this because, I think Chairman Klein, General Locks, and myself agree that, this isn't an expense that we should incur.
Yep.
And so we're gonna go down that route.
Do we have a motion for the attorney to engage?
I apologize, I may have jumped the gun. I thought I'd been authorized to do it the
We did
last
that in
one.
straw.
Just so we make sure to have this. Oh, we have one coming up committee from Gen Ops? Or do we have a?
There's no action to take on this, so we move to old business.
Well, we asked the attorney to go ahead and
Okay.
send the letter.
So there's, all right, so,
I just got this stuff today, so I haven't formed any.
all right, there's nothing we need to do here, so,
No.
let's go to tax refunds here.
I made a motion, I did make a motion.
Motion second, all in favor? All right, motion adjourned? All right, adjourned.
Yeah.